democracy, in essence, is a concept that functions outside subject and object duality with the law. Thus, it is a concept of existence, the same way that the law is also a concept of existence. There is no law without democracy, or there is no democracy without law. The way and means the law actualizes existence is what is given as democracy. The democracy that is also outside subject and object duality. Essential law and essential democracy, therefore, is a concept that's only without. It is only a question that is only in the realm of infinity and eternity. The law of a given society is the people. Moreover, the way and means that the people actualize existence, i.e. actualize the law of the existence of the people, is democracy. It's only in this way, you are making the people the takers of law and democracy. The democracy as people government can only be understood. The people as essential law of society can never be able to take democracy from anybody else, nor from God, the Creator, nor from Allah, the assumed Creator, the omnipotent, the omnipresent, the magnificent, all-knowing, all-powerful entity of the universe, which is also fallacious concept of existence. There is no such thing as omnipotent, omnipresent, omni-creator in the universe. It is only existence. But we don't mean when we say people, we're talking about infinity and eternity. Therefore, we're not talking about specific private property like human or animal or plant. Their population, their populace, their sort of populism of a given private property like humans. But this is a people, what means the cannot see the sum total of the people, but because there is no sum total in infinity. What is the sum total in infinity? There is no such thing, such order of reason. Just as much there is no centrality when private property, that we cannot say specific mass in the universe that will give us the amount of energy that is contained in it. Then we cannot say externality, and then we cannot say the sum total of energy that exists in the universe. There's also pseudo concepts and percepts that there were all people, if we can say, people in the history, if we can say that too, actually have understood it by saying that little knowledge is dangerous, where people blind, the people, the land of the blind is one man is a king, kind of thing. Because we are 100% blind of what the world is all about. And that's why we're going out threatening with atomic bombs, trying to develop nuclear bombs in order to protect ourselves from another group of people, because of economic sense, because of political sense, because of elections and taxations, and want people's will to have power over other people. And just the same way that that's why they want to reduce the people, as we said earlier, to nothingness, by saying that you are created by some supernatural power, so therefore you cannot be the givers and democracy of the society, but they have to be the givers and the democracy of law of society. That they are the only one that can be the law of society, because they are the existence of society, but they have to be within the existential law and the democracy of existence, but cannot be outside, because there is no other outside private property. Since there is no private property, they have to be part and parcel of existence itself. And they become part and parcel of the power that gives democracy to society, and also existential democracy, existential law to society, and democracy also to society. So they cannot take democracy from God, nor can they give democracy from the people, from private property, from party system. Look at the way that our society is configured at the present time. How many? We have 193 nation states, who claim to be a sovereign state, and all the people that belong within that frame. And each of them, as you see, between the United States and Korea, North Korea, they find themselves in the United States and Iran, Iran and the United States of Iraq, United States of Afghanistan, United States, and just about any country in the world, because they claim to be they're going to be the only, they're going to look after their own self. Their interest is the protection of the United States of America. Of the people, there's 350 million people that live in America, whose nation state can't survive saying that in the universe. Even as we said, millions and millions of galaxies in the universe cannot claim to say we are only interested in protecting this 180,000 light years across each galaxy, which is trillion of them. That's what we can say, but that's not even 1% of existence and from infinity. They cannot say that. That's just some kind of rational thinking of egotistical rhetorics between one group of people and the other people. So we have to understand that. The people, as we have said, are the law of the society. The existence of the people, in fact, is a law, and the people can never give democracy other than themselves. The fact that the people are the law of society, and the fact that they are the givers of democracy, has very wrongly turned itself to something other than what is given by law and democracy of the people. It has given ways to one-party system, communist countries and other dictatorial countries, as we say, and other places that have given way to many-party system, on the basis of different ideologies of creationism and materialism, of matter manifesting itself in different form. And in terms of creation, that creates the creator is the creator, and he has created many kinds of creation which are equal to each other. We'll come down to that later, and that's what there's two-party systems. That's one mono-party system, and many-party system is based on this difference equation between creation and which claims to be created equally by the creator, and the materialist view of the world, who believes that there is an evolutionary process, there are master races and super races and mutant can exist in the matter, then they cannot be equal to each other because of the fact that there's a master right to kill a slave in kind of the same way, basing itself on the theory of the concept of many-party system that is based on its own constitution and institution within society, has its own constitution and institution within society, competes to create society in its own images by activating its base, and the society, and others activating their base in society, and to compete in order to give us a democracy to society. But let's look how existential law and existential democracy work. And we take a simple example of nature as an example. Hence, we assume that the fact that everything that exists in nature as the law of society, of nature. Everything that exists in nature is the law of society of nature. Well, the way that it means that nature works on the basis of essential law of nature is the essential democracy of nature. The way that means that works on the basis of essential law and essential democracy, the essential law of nature is the essential democracy of nature. That means the democracy that also allow nature to engage existence at all time without allowing any written constitution to emerge or built institution to emerge or create or destroy nature. Energy is the self of nature, right? Because it's the self of nature. That's all. You see, as we say, like now in California, we have this snake who came from China, and it changes the biomass of the ecosystem there and into snakes. You see, into your own kind. Like the spirit parties are trying to create the society their own images. But democracy variables, those people that society can give democracy to cannot in any way or shape affect the fundamental law of existence of society. It has to be the same one. It has to be the self of that law. But in essence, both party system nor the many party system are not the self of that law of that society, of the people. Therefore, they are interested on the basis of different ones serving their masters, the creator, and therefore serving themselves on the basis of being the servant of the master, and then they create society in order in the images of the creator and themselves. Right? So what is the self of nature? That actually nature without creating it in different form, without creating an institution or built institution or the right institution to channel it in a given highway and byways, but actually the existence of nature, then we can say that the fact that a given thing, like time, let's say, exists in nature, that's what qualify it to be a democratic variable of nature, to something that exists in nature. However, if time within nature is assumed to be a private property or a party with its own constitution and institution that would gravitate it to create nature in its own images, then time cannot be said to be the self of nature, the antithesis of nature. This will necessarily and sufficiently bring us to something other than itself. Just like what Roman Empire and Hellenistic Empire and all the other empires have emerged, and that's why they wither away, because the seed of their own destruction, as they say, instead of the seed of their own perpetual useless, finds ways and means within themselves. The existential democracy of the existential law is the self of the said law. The existential democracy of the existential law is the self of the said law. It has to be the same as law. On the basis of such knowledge and of democracy and law, we find time, event, space, and motion to be the self of nature. Right? That actualize the taking of energy at all time in nature, without fundamentally or relatively an iota affecting nature to be other than itself. Meaning that the variables of time, event, and space are also within their own rational choice. Therefore, not only time and event and space is the self of nature, but time is also the self of event and the self of space, the self of motion. Because within themselves, as it is in creationism, where they are also confronted with the creator and creation, but they are also confronted with creation and creation. But here, the democratic variables are not confronted in terms of time and event and space and motion against each other. They are not pitted against each other. Because if they are pitted against each other, they cannot be, because if they are self of nature, if they are wither away, the nature also withers away, because it is the democratic variable of nature. There is no law without democracy, and there is no democracy without law. Okay? Hence, each of the variables are not only the self of nature, but the self, the same degree, to the same extent, the self of each other. This is contrary both to the creationist view of the world and the materialist view of the world that assume the manifestation of matter in different form. Well, in fact, these two basic concepts and percepts of rationality are the ones who created in our society, as we know as well, the many-party system as democracy and one-party system as democracy. And in rationality, they both right. One is based on caste system, so he cannot assume to be equal when he is different. He is created differently by material through evolutionary process of natural selection and adaptation and inheritance, and it cannot say therefore this is but we are the same. That's what created this differently. I was saying, but we cannot say we are equal to other creation. We cannot say the bull is created equal to the cow, or the cow to be equal to the bull. A different creation, and they are not equal. And therefore, the society has to be based on that. The democraticness of the society is the sharing of that difference that exists as a caste system. Therefore, one party is also only the ones that are within the party, as Stalin, as we said, is said, the proletariat is a race of its own. It's a race, a specific race, by the fact that he engages society in a given way. And because of that, he also engages society in a given way, but actualize what we call jin what do you call it? Gene expression. Gene expresses itself in certain basic ways in society and in itself in the person, because he engages doing the same kind of thing all over and over and over and over. Because if you start running every day, actually you become adapted, hooked into drugs, and then you cannot do yourself without using drugs. As a proletariat, the same way, by doing the same kind of job, and so in the factories, it becomes a specific race of people. On the basis of that, they cannot allow any other group of people to be member of the Communist Party of the proletariat, because they are not the same with the proletariat. They are different races. So they say if you take the time and event and space and distance and motion, and then you relate it with each other, you find that they give you back that they are interrelated. Distance is related to time and space, time and speed, like speed as motion, and the fact that a specific event like driving is an event, and it has a specific time that actually a specific event, specific motion, specific distance that you can go at a given time. Therefore, it is as an event also defined, like contrary to plane, to flying, or contrary to boats. Therefore, eventum is specifically defined, and the distance and the time and the motion, this motion are also interrelated with each other without creating duality with each other. That distance always time speed over time always gives you distance. Right? Time, distance over speed is always given time. Right? Time over time distance always gives you speed. Right? Okay, so therefore, and the event given, so they are interrelated with each other, and they are actually the existence of nature, without the law, the existential law of nature. Yeah. So as we said, however, we cannot say that one party system or many party systems are based on the same on their own constitution, that are based on their own constitution. Can work on the basis of being the self of society. Right? Just due to the fact, as we said earlier, that the creation's view of it, they believe that they are created equal, and all created of God, to be democratic, is to respect the manifestation of this creation in equal to anybody else. Since they are creation of God, and they are equal. A cow and a dog, and they are all created by God. They are equal, and they are specific private property in the state. Their democracy is allowing them to actualize events, to actualize their own life and society. That's why the President of the United States saying, we all have different constitutions and institutions, we are all sovereign states, and we should actualize the democracy is the fact that we respect each other in the world, and not transgress in the affairs of anybody else, and that we are equal, but we are different. That we say that difference is necessarily and sufficiently. She has created many wars, many conflicts, many political and economic confrontation. And political economic espionage and all kind of problems has created because that difference that they assume but the equality they assume, they respect our equality. I leave you alone, you leave me alone, and that's democracy, which is bullshit. Okay. But on the other hand, the one party system saying, no, I am a caste system. I cannot call you that are created, manifest itself objectively differently than him. I am more intelligent, I am a super race, I can do all kinds of science and technologies, and which you cannot, and I cannot assume you to be the same reason, the same way as ourselves. Therefore, I have to create a caste system, like Indian caste system, and the only people that are allowed to run is those people that are that specific caste. They are the only party that is there. They are the only one who can run society. Nobody is allowed to be a member of that caste. Nobody is allowed to run for the Communist Party. They cannot be member of the Communist Party. No, they cannot be run for any office. Obviously, they are not a member of the Communist Party. That's what they mean by one party system and by many party system. But however, as we said, the people are not and cannot be said to be based on creation, manifestation, different form, or based on reason, constitution, or built-in like knowledge, like society, the state of energy, like nature, and the democratic variable are all within their own rational chosen existence. Hence, they are within their rational choice. If they are the givers of law and democracy, and in nature like exist in infinity, eternity are such order of reason. So the what is eternal, even though each of them can be all of it, but we define nature. In nature there is time, there is event, there is motion, and there is space. Event, motion, space, in event, and nature are infinite and eternal. These are eternal and infinite at all time, and that's what happens. What everything that exists is can be said to be such order of reason, not manifested itself in the form, but to be nature, space, event, and motion, where each of them is also the other, without being a private property or a party that is separate, because they are actually in nature, and all of them also actually in existence. They cannot be a party, and or just like saying that they take number 40, number 40. If you take the negative and the positive part of it, not one, we cannot divide into two, like like some people think that one divide into two. We're not dividing when we take like unzipping the two the values of the negative and the positive are there, and to separate them to two parts. One is all positive from 40 to 2, the other one from 39 to 1. All the way they are unzipped like this. But they are part of 40. They are not nothing other outside the 40. It cannot be anything other than 40. That's infinity. All of them are that value. Within that value. They cannot claim to be private property of 40. They cannot be and party of within 40. Even when we bring that to 40, we don't divide them, but we create a zip file like that to unzip them, and if we fertilize them together, instead of getting 40, we can get a range of values that go from 1 to 40. Within that, we create democratic variables which is we call anatomies of energy. That is charges of energy, from energy, charges of energy, to anatomies of energy. And all this are also parts of 40. They are nothing other than they are within the 40 energy. But we can say, like what we say, time, event, and motion, space. We can find all the 16 variables within them. Within the when we fertilize them, we from one we unzippen. When unzippen, we fertilize them. We get a range of energy that ranges from one, and when we find inflection point, so to say, no differential points, inflection points where we give us the concepts that exists within it, like time, event, motion, liquid and gas and light, and ideas and matter, and empirical method and functional method. That's what Allah tell us. This how these things are, and with communication between them, and habitation within them, and production within them, and the communication and transportation within them. You see. And that's what's happening. That they are not. We can say all of this for 40 is transportation. We can say it's all communication. We can say all is habitation. Right? At the same time, if we take a certain permutation and combination, we say that's for 40 combination 10, and we can get all kinds of, we call them, we can all kinds of DNA, so the domain-based numerical arrangements, domain-based, because they are because A, B, so when we get this space and time and motion, therefore they are domains, then we get the domain-based numerical arrangements, and then but all those values, they feel that has specific DNAs, we can get to trillions of them, tens of them, billions of them, and we can call them, and they have specific concepts, but they are concepts of the 40. They are no different concepts that are other than 40. Okay? That's what it means. And therefore there is no sovereign state within them. If it permits them, combine them, and there is no sovereign state. There is only one God sovereign state. They're all of them that. When we divide them, not divide them, when we unzip them, well, there is no division. We're not dividing. What we're saying, there is no subject object. What is existing is just an infinity. But we can take an imaginary value, and we find that there is no duality between them. When unzip them, we see all the negative find in that's all. In terms of we find all the negativity of 40 inside that. All the positivity is there too. But we choose as a positive not value. And when we fertilize them together, we say self one, we get the range of energy. Wherever we start with 40. And then when fertilize them, when we unzip them, and we fertilize, we get the range of energy. The range of the moment, we can create permutation and combination that will give us trillions or millions or 14, 20 millions of DNAs. Domain-based numerical arrangement or energetic arrangement. No, I'm not saying this is ironic. I said it means the domain-based numerical arrangement. What do I say? Yeah, that's what it means. All this always they get. Means that they are arranged at any given part of them, any unit of them is because is always given by having these prosinomes within them at any given point. But this one means domain-based numerical arrangement. They are based on specific domains that come from, and there is domain relationship. You can say time and space in the relation with each other, and within that they can say. What kind of function, which we call it inverse function, the converse function. Inverse function, they are inversely related with each other, conversely related with each other, but we can get time from space and space from time, idea from matter, matter from idea, because every matter contains idea, and I can get the matter from idea, and idea from matter, and then all that's one given single infinity and eternity that are eternal within that are actually an event, and we cannot even eternity infinity means that this is the self of infinity and the self of eternity. There exists alone and one and the same and subject object. That's what we find. That's when we separate them. When we unzip them, we find the existence of the democracy of existence. Of existence, that's how it is, but that's we cannot find closed space like that. Then we can create a perpetual motion, and we cannot really isolate a specific unit of energy to say that this thing exists in infinity, but it will help us to subjectify this in imagination, and it help us to imagine and subjectify the existence. That's what it is. And contrary to that, every society that we find hitherto to exist a society, it's not a question of caste. Well, we can't say really, but because we cannot use the engine as a human. Engine of human history, the engine of human history, hitherto engine of human history has been contradictions of classes. This is an evolutionary theory. That's what it exactly means. You see, they started with this idea matter manifests in some different form, and the biologists went to find what you call it, bones and things like this, to prove that there was different manifestation that shows line of that evolutionary line that tell us what comes from what and what comes from that. And the same way in society, they think that there was the classes that started, and then there's contradiction between them, have given different classes, and that has been the engine of history, and that has been the engine of biology. That's bullshit. That's not reality. That's false concept. But the fact is that every academic knowledge that we have accumulated is wrong. Anyway, that we close. Thank you.